Hey folks, it's Dr. Jamie Meyer from PRI, the Performance Racing Industry, Trade Show and Media Company. And I'm coming to you from the Indiana Convention Center. Now normally, in the first week of December, this facility would be filled with 65,000 racers, 1,200 exhibitors, and new race cars from around the world. But unfortunately, we can't bring that show to you this year. Now because you can't come to PRI is going to come to you. And I'm excited to tell you about our new program, the PRI Road Tour, where we're going to bring the world's best content creators right to you and give you a chance to tell your stories. And we're going to share them with the racing world. So with that, the PRI Road Tour starts right now.
Hi everybody, I'm Ralph Sheheen. Welcome to our Speed Sports Studios here in Mooresville, North Carolina. We are excited to be a part of the PRI Road Tour. This is a unique year, and unfortunately the PRI show couldn't happen, but the Road Tour is. And they're going all over the country talking to racers, racetracks, the racing industry. And if you can't catch all of the pieces that they're putting out, just join us here from the Speed Sports Studios as we bring it all condensed to you over the course of the Road Tour. Now our first stop from here in the studio is going to be joining Dr. Jamie Meyer, the man who put this all together. Hi Jamie, thanks for joining us and congratulations on being named as the new president of PRI.
Hey Ralph, thank you so much. And hey, I want to thank you for all you've done for PRI and the racing industry. And I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about the PRI Road Tour this morning. So thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, we couldn't be more thrilled to be a part of it, Jamie. Listen, the Road Tour is something very unique. Of course, it's a very unique year. How did this idea even come about?
Yeah, Ralph, you know, the PRI show since the mid-'80s has brought the racing community together. But it really came down to this. The people of Indianapolis were trying very hard. The health officials there were doing the best work they can do, but in the end, we just couldn't risk people's safety. So we made what we think is the right decision, tough decision to not hold the live show. And then, as you know, we've pivoted. We didn't want to go dark for what would be 2 years. That's just not how the racing industry works. As you know, we still have racing going on and activity going on in our world. So we wanted to come to you. So we can't get to everybody, Ralph, and that's where you come in. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but what we did put together, what we think is a very comprehensive schedule. We started in Indianapolis. We're going to be coming to North Carolina this week. Then we'll be traveling back across the country. And this thing goes well into December, where we'll be in California. So, Ralph, we're all over the place, and that's why we need your help.
Well, how did you decide where you're going to go with the Road Tour and who was going to get visited?
It's tough. Look, I can't say they're my favorite exhibitors because they're all our favorite exhibitors. You know, we got to be really careful. But we had some early hand raisers. And then, you know, look, we've got some staff members at PRI that have been putting this trade show on for 20 plus years. And they love this industry. They love the people of the industry. And I let them really guide the ship, if you will, and pick some of the folks that had great stories to tell. Some folks have new products with really no good mechanism to launch it. The physical activity here, Ralph, and I want to make sure people understand it, is we have a team of experts in a van traveling the country. And when they arrive at the location, we've got at least 2 videographers. We've got world-class photographers. We've got a logistics person from PRI, and then we have a designated driver to make sure everybody gets there safe. And that team will run into action to work with the folks that we stop at, like you said, a racetrack or a manufacturer, or just see a hardcore race team. And this stuff is world-class content. Ralph, you're going to be super proud of what you and your team are going to be able to put together with what's coming from the content team. And a lot of this is coming out on the PRI social channels right now, but we're at the start of this. I'm excited to have you join PRI again this year. And it means a lot to help reach the racing community. And I'll say philosophically, I think a lot of people are turned off right now, right? Everybody's locked in their homes. We're watching this election. We're really not sure what's happening. But the racing community, Ralph, as you know, is really active. Some of our manufacturers are having some of their best years in their history. And look, I'm excited to get our team out there and tell the story. I'm thrilled you're going to be a part of it.
Well, we are too. Listen, the racing community is always a very positive thinking group. What's the reaction been to the content so far and the stops that you've seen?
Yeah, it's been wonderful, Ralph. I've been on some of the stops. I helped launch the tour in Indianapolis. That was great. Got to go to DSR. We did a Tommy Johnson Jr. interview. You know, he's in the hunt for a championship. So it went from the very pinnacle of drag racing. Then we went to Lucas Oil, and we were at a junior dragster meet with Antron Brown and his two sons. So we got two little guys out there in little dragsters, you know, really sportsman level stuff. And then we go to the Ganassi facility in Indianapolis. The team went on to Chicago to go to HP Tuners and other manufacturers in that area. So this thing ranges from the sportsman racers that really make racing. You know that, Ralph. You and I are sportsman racers, all the way up to the pros that really are the pinnacle. They set the pace for this industry. So we're trying to get a nice cross section of everybody. We were just in Detroit last week. You know, we talked to Chevy, we talked to Dodge, we talked to Ford. The team was at the M1 Concourse, which is this unbelievable garage community, high-end garages of over 200, this private community that's based on a 1.5 mile road course. And then the end of the week at Livernois, where we were learning how to turn street cars into drag race cars. So it's all over, Ralph. And now we're coming to North Carolina, and I'm looking for you help guide the team. So can I ask you a question? What have we got in store in North Carolina that you're excited about?
Oh, we've got some real treats. I've got some good buddies down here that have some really cool race cars to show off and are doing some incredible work. You know, that's one of the things that always excites me about going to the PRI show, Jamie, is what you get to see these craftsmen, these engineers, these brilliant racers coming up with. They formulate an idea, they find a way to make it happen, and then they take it out to the racetrack and see how it performs and keep working on it until it does win. And there's some guys here in the Charlotte, Mooresville, Concord area right now that are doing some remarkable things that won't maybe hit the racetrack till sometime 2021, but we're going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek when the camera crew gets down here.
Yeah, see, this is what it's about, right, Ralph? You know, we don't have PRI, the physical show, so we've got to find a mechanism to tell these stories. And you know, everybody goes to the PRI show and you've got a display, but the real fun stuff is those side conversations where you hear about that new race car, that new part, and that's what we're trying to tap into on the PRI Road Tour. So I'm excited to see what you got the team signed up for. It'll be a good time.
Well, that's where you and I first met, was just walking the halls and the aisles of PRI, and now here you are, the new president of PRI. We have to talk about that for a minute at least. You came from Chevrolet and GM. It's a big transition, and what a year to do that in. What do you see in store for PRI? What's your vision?
Yeah, well, I appreciate the question. You know, thrilled to be a part of PRI. It's always been my favorite trade show. Always love the people at PRI. So I'm looking forward to giving back and making the show bigger and better than ever. Just a really tough year, but I think the Road Tour shows the intent of the PRI brand, people, the momentum that we have. We are there for the racing community. We are there for the manufacturers. We're there to help the race teams go to whatever level, set whatever goal they want, and help them reach that. And as you know, this pandemic has kind of shown the weaknesses in the racing industry, right? We saw racetracks get shut down. We saw race teams lose funding. We've seen some manufacturers go out of business. Some are having, you know, they've pivoted and they've had great years, but we've seen our weakness through all this, Ralph. So my job is to help all of us through that. And we'll bring folks together as we always do. But I think you're going to see PRI on the scene much more than just the trade show in December that we know it as. And we've been there. We've hired ambassadors like Tom Deary, who've worked with racetracks that were in a lot of trouble this year, Ralph. And we've helped form coalitions in different states. We've helped work with local officials. As you know, SEMA, which is our parent company, has governmental regulations folks and lobbyists in Washington, D.C. I'm learning a lot about what those folks are able to do, and I like what they do to protect racing in general. So you're going to hear a lot about that, and we're going to be asking the racing community to help us to come together to raise funds. Let's be real honest with each other, Ralph. And as Christian Robinson says from my DC office, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu. And I want to make sure the racing industry always has a seat at the table and has a very strong collective voice.
Yeah, we have had a really tough year, and we've seen those weaknesses, as you pointed out, but we've also seen the resiliency of the racing industry this year, always innovating, always figuring out a way to get to victory lane. That's what this business does, and we've done that as well throughout the course of the year, as you pointed out. And it's going to be fantastic to see PRI expanding out and being more than just a trade show, but something that people think about 365 days out of the year, and they see that logo at the racetrack on a regular basis. Some people might not know you've been behind the wheel. Tell us a little bit about you, the racer, so they understand just how much of a real racer you are.
Yeah, I don't race enough. I'll say that right up front. But look, I love sportsman drag racing. I've had a string of street cars. I've had one designated drag car through my life. Right now, I've got a 2019 Z06. I was at NMCA this year at their amazing Martin, Michigan event. They had 670 cars in competition, which was unbelievable. So I love to get out there and race. I think most importantly, I understand the passion. To your point, this isn't just a hobby. This is a way of life. People are not going to stop racing. This is a lifestyle we have to protect. So I appreciate that. I love to race. Maybe you and I'll go drag racing sometime.
I like that. I guess I'm going to have to be pretty quick off the line, though. I know you got a lot of experience there. Okay, so let's talk about the rest of the road tour. Anything coming up that I've given you a couple of hints about what might happen here in Charlotte. What's going to take place after that?
Yeah, the team will be in Charlotte. I'm thrilled to see what you guys come up with there. I'm looking for the PRI content creators to really capture the essence of that stock car racing history and drive that you know and love so well, and really share that with the world, especially during these times. We'll go through Atlanta after that. I know the Summit store there is going to host us, so the team will do some shopping down there. We're going to go through Texas, and there's endless racers in the great state of Texas, and there's a few surprises there. We'll see what happens. All of these things are taking shape and building. And we'll go through the Arizona stop in Phoenix. And then for the first 2-3 weeks of December, PRI will be in California, and we'll be going up the coast with all the manufacturers and racing that goes on in California. I think a lot of the, Ralph, our work up front here this is new. This is a surprise. People get the PRI magazine, but they don't really think of PRI as the media company that they've always been, to share that B2B experience and that knowledge. And I think for us, for you and me right now, we need to get the word out to our manufacturers that this is going on. And if you aren't a stop on the PRI Road Tour, Ralph, you're going to help put their story together. And that's what I'm most interested in. We're teaching people about how they can market their companies. We're teaching them about how they can sell their story about what great race teams they're putting together. And between our social teams and what you bring to the table, let's package those up. So they can send us a note at roadtour@performanceracing.com, and we'll work with them. We'll teach them how to take a quick video, take a picture. You're going to have the tough job of making them famous, though, Ralph.
We can do that here at Speed Sport. We're excited. Final question for you. This thing is becoming a real big hit. Could it be a possibility that we did this out of necessity this year, but maybe it becomes a regular happening?
Yeah, I really like the thought of that. Look, we're learning that people just need help during this time, and they will push to get to the PRI show and help sell their products. But if you're not strong digitally or you're not strong with your content, some of those companies need that extra push. So yeah, we might have a permanent component of the PRI brand be on the road, going to races, going to our manufacturers and helping these folks along the way. So we'll see, pal. We've got an interesting future. Racing's not going away. PRI is going to be a big, big part of it.
Well, Jamie, the one thing we learned for sure in 2020 is that the board members at PRI and SEMA hired the right guy to be in charge of the performance racing industry show going into the future. We racers couldn't be in better shape than to have you leading us. Thanks for taking on the task. You're doing an outstanding job. And Speed Sport, being a proud member, we are thrilled to join you arm in arm as we take this PRI Road Tour forward. Now listen, I got to tell you the one thing I'm really bummed about. Didn't get to host a grand opening breakfast this year. Can't wait to be that in front of everybody next season when we kick off the show in December 2021. But since you might be coming to Charlotte and we didn't get to have breakfast in Indy, maybe you and I go grab some donuts when you get down here and do some bench racing.
Well, thank you. Look, I appreciate the kind words. We're really fighting hard for the racing community, and I love donuts. So I'll see you in Charlotte, okay?
All right, Jamie. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ralph.
Well, that'll do it for our first episode of the PRI Road Tour Studio Show. I'm your host, Ralph Sheheen. As we leave you today, here's some highlights from the Road Tour so far. We'll see you out on the tour.